Hello, everyone, and welcome to the TweetCap. As always, I'm your host, Ryan, and with me, my co-host, Matt. Matt, how you doing?
I'm good, Ryan. Can't complain. Moving along.
Can't
Doing fine.
complain because nobody's
Mhm,
listening. um,
for sure.
so, obviously, this week, the week of the presidential inauguration for Joseph R. Biden Jr., um, that was most of this week's Twitter. So why don't we just jump into that? Did you watch?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed
I
it.
think
I
everybody
did.
enjoyed it a little bit. Not everybody, but enough people.
But yeah, I did do. I did. I watched the whole thing. A little bit of the ceremony yesterday. Um, it was a really sweet event. It felt good. It was the no. I don't think the. I don't think the. When Trump was inaugurated, it was definitely rainy, gloomy.
Yes,
It
yeah, it
was
was. That should have been a sign, huh?
it was a good symbol. I think it was nice. A little snow and then the sun came out.
I'm sure you say it's nice, but you're from New England. I'm sure the Vice President Harris had other ideas, being from California and all. Um,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I had it on pretty much all day. Work from home. That's kind of the benefit. You get to keep everything on, so I got to see the various different aspects and coverage. Watch them follow the parade and all that, and I thought it was really well done, especially given the circumstances. I mean, COVID alone
Right.
um, would have been immensely difficult to do. And then they did it not only with the COVID worries, but also with the threat of another attack. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm very, very pleasantly surprised. And I mean, that's a horrible way to put it, but there's no other way to put it. Um,
Hmm.
Pleasantly surprised that we didn't have, you know, a another act of violence in the lead up to this or on the day of. Obviously, it was locked down like a small fortress, the
Hmm.
the capital. So I guess it makes sense. But I was honestly convinced to some degree that maybe not in DC, but that somewhere, some way that there would be some folks who just couldn't accept the reality of what was happening because they had been told for months now that this was physically impossible. There's no way this could happen, and that if it did happen, there was some sort of nefarious act. There was some sort of Russian conspiracy, or there was some sort of deep state agenda, and obviously that's not true. It's also not what happened. It went forward, and there's a few people who are still holding out hope. There are a few people who still believe that this was stolen successfully, a stolen election. But actually, a lot of the Q folks, we'll call them the Q folks, the ones who believe in the QAnon on Reddit and stuff like that. Although they're not allowed there anymore. But yeah, I think a lot of them are starting to realize they may have been duped. Uh, that all these predictions might have just been somebody on the internet making something up, maybe for a laugh, maybe because they're sick. I don't know, but I think a lot of people are trying to recognize that most of what they read on the internet was probably just, a joke, not to be taken seriously. I will say, interestingly enough, though, the highlight for me was A Rod. Were you watching TV when they showed President
Yep.
Obama talking to A Rod? Yeah,
Mhm.
every single news outlet had the same reaction. I guess everyone forgot that Jennifer Lopez was performing because they're all like, "Wait a second, is that A Rod?" Because you've got the House Minority Whip, the Speaker of the House, the Senate Majority Leader. You've got
An
former
A-Rod.
presidents, and then just A Rod is there, and every single one, CBS, CNN, everyone did the same thing. They're like, "Is that A Rod?" And then they talked about A Rod for like a solid 2 minutes. So I thought it was great that Alex Rodriguez got actual inauguration coverage. I thought that was really funny.
Getting the
Um,
spotlight even if he doesn't want it.
yeah, exactly. I thought that was funny. Obviously, Jennifer Lopez is the reason he was there, and she did a fantastic job.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I was sitting there laughing, like, why are we
Mhm.
dedicating two? But I guess it's because it's a long day and you have to cover something, right? But yeah,
Yep.
they decided to dedicate some time to covering A Rod. um, and then the Bernie memes. I mean, you sent me a couple. I thought
Hmm.
those were pretty funny. I mean, you know me, I wasn't necessarily, a primary for Bernie guy, but I thought that those were very funny. I don't know if you've seen the New York City Twitter page actually took
I've seen
over.
lots of them. It was
Yeah,
pretty great.
put him on the subway. Um,
Hmm.
so in general, what do you think? What do you think? Like I said, social media has been pretty quiet, which always makes our job easy or difficult rather. When there's less stuff trending than more stuff. But what do you think about? Um, I guess going forward, we'll take this time to just chat a little bit. What do you think about what's going to happen next now that we've gotten through this tumultuous time and we're on to the next page, whatever that looks like.
I just want to wait for the pandemic to end. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I focus. I think as the days go on by, I get more appreciative to get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
As COVID keeps rising, it seems like you hear people having it. I saw my cousin this week. He was home from the army. He had boot camp and he had basic training during COVID, and he had COVID at
Oof,
basic. And I was like, that was pretty
that can't be
close.
fun.
So
Yeah,
he's gotten vaccinated since then, but like, yeah, it's I think I've just it's all nice and stuff, and it is great, and I'm happy. I
it's all
have a
symbolic right now. We got to actually
Yeah,
do something now.
exactly.
It's time to actually move forward.
I just want this pandemic to end.
Absolutely. Did
So
you hear what's happening in Florida? People are flying
regarding
in
what?
from other places because Florida's like vaccine rollout isn't checking anyone. So people are just showing up in Florida to get a vaccine. There's actually two
Oh yeah.
companies in India, like travel companies, that have a COVID tourism package. Or for a couple $1,000s, you get round trip flight to Miami and a COVID vaccination, which is
Might as well
insane to
take
me.
that.
I mean, it's obviously not allowed. The United States is trying to crack down on it, but I was like, that's insane to me that
Hmm.
it's so unregulated. But you're right. Unfortunately, the most pressing issue is COVID, and that hasn't changed at all. Just because we had a nice ceremony yesterday in Washington, um, but I actually have a not as nice ceremony I want to talk about.
Hmm.
I'm excited for this. Conor McGregor is back.
Hmm.
2 days, his first fight back. They had their press conference. There wasn't much of a press conference, more of a stare down that I saw. But
Hmm.
no smiles. Usually Connor's all smiles. You know what I mean? He's always kind of a cocky a cocky fighter, but he's focused. Did you see it?
I did not see the press conference. No.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there wasn't a lot of the usual trash talk. There wasn't a lot of the usual McGregor kind of fanfare that they
Hmm.
always roll out to get people excited. It was, I mean, people are just as excited for serious Connor, but he just got up in his face and he said whatever he said. It was whispered, we couldn't hear. And then that was that. He's ready to go. And so it just reminds me of, we talked about this a while back. The which Paul brother wants to get murdered by Conor McGregor?
Hmm.
I forget which one it is.
It's Jake Paul.
Yeah, I mean, so everyone besides Conor McGregor has weighed in on whether or not they would fight Jake Paul. And I think at this point, if Jake Paul was even remotely serious, hopefully
Hmm.
he saw yesterday and he immediately apologized. Because I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I don't know what Conor's UFC future looks like. Obviously, they're all professional fighters, all of his, dream matchups. And so I'm not going to count anyone out against, against Connor, that he has been away and most of them have not. But he'll absolutely murder, I think, uh,
Hmm.
the Jake Paul. Like, I don't know if Jake Paul has ever been that intense, like really intense about anything in his entire life. I haven't. I mean, it was like a quiet intensity. That's what's scary. It was scarier than when he was big and loud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was very quiet. He's ready to win um, in a few days. I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to see if I can find someone who's watching it, so I don't have to pay for it on my own. But if I don't find anyone, I may have to just go ahead and bite the bullet and get the pay per view, because I think it's going to be a really really good showing for McGregor personally. I don't know
If
about
there's a
you.
will, there's a way. You can
Yeah, no, I know. I can always
find
just
it.
get it, but
Mhm.
it's always better to watch with wings and beer and friends and whatever. So, uh,
That'll be the day. We'll
yes,
do it
yes.
again.
Someday we can do that with large groups and not small groups. What are we gonna do about the Super Bowl this year? Like,
Just watch it at home.
yeah, but I mean,
Nobody.
Super Bowl is like that's a big party time. I wonder if there's gonna be a Super Bowl spike in COVID cases.
Who
Could you imagine?
knows? God forbid. 100. We know what they said. What you know what they're trying to do? 100 COVID shots in 100 days. It'd be about a
100
third of the
million.
country. 100 million.
Yeah,
That'd
100. We did that
be
at the Walgreens over here today. 100 million. I don't
so
know.
like.
I applied for mine. I don't know if you have yet, but
Do they allow that in New Jersey?
yeah, apparently I'm in 1C, but I feel like I'm gonna get pushed back because I know other people who are in office, kind of frontline workers who are also 1C. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think right now they've got 1A, 1B, which is the people they're actually focusing on, and then
Yeah.
1C is everybody else who signs up right now. And then if I'm assuming if things get really busy and people start signing up more and more, they'll start pushing people like me further and further back. But yeah, as of right now, I'm in the third tier,
Do you have a
which
date?
no, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's almost like a card subject to change thing. They're like, yeah, you're third unless you're not. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think is going to end up happening. But I mean, it's theoretically possible that 1C is in the spring right now with the way things are going, at least near us. So
You know,
here's hoping.
I really haven't been focusing up on that because of you know, I just figured it's gonna be a while. But you remind me to check and I'll check. Putting a reminder on my phone as we speak.
There you go. Sorry, I'm just looking at. So I always have the trending tab open when we do this.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alerts. And Diet Coke is trending because President Biden removed the red button on the Resolute desk that former President Trump used to summon a White House butler with a Diet Coke. He had a Coke button.
Had to start it.
He had a Coke button, and it was a big red button too. Everyone's like, he's gonna hit the
Mm-hmm.
big red button. Turns out he did, but it was for a Diet Coke. I mean, you know what? Much respect. I would want a Diet Coke on standby
Uh,
if I were in a position of power anywhere. But
I like the changes ahead.
yes, that's a small one, but hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, things are going to get a little bit better. So like I said, I knew we were gonna have a short episode this time.
Mm-hmm.
But I did want to plug your Productive Conversations podcast. A big one just came out. A mutual friend of ours. I recommend everybody listen to Will Hessert's. You're going to feel some type of way, no matter which way it is. I think that's kind of the branding that Matt has been going with on this one. But yeah, definitely give
Exactly.
the Productive Conversations podcast a listen, as well as a like and subscribe on YouTube and a download wherever you get your podcasts. But
Thank you, Brian.
yeah, no problem.
Also,
Um,
definitely do the same with the TweetCap and add
oh
a
yeah, well
review.
we're not signing off just yet. So that's why I was going to save that for the sign off. But I did want to know if you wanted to talk a little bit about. I know it's not this week; it's next week. But a little bit about next week's. I don't even know what we're calling it because it's not a tweet cap, and it's also not necessarily a productive conversations podcast. It's kind of a mix of the two. So I don't know if you wanted to go into that just a little bit. Not too many details. We still have one more show before it. So
Yeah, we'll just gonna we could just simulcast it, and it's just a Royal Rumble retrospective. It's just I guess the best way to describe it is a podcast on wrestling that ties into the Royal Rumble that takes place that night. So talk about with us, another person, another guest to be announced later.
mhm,
We'll discuss the state of wrestling, favorite wrestling moments, then tie it into the Royal Rumble, the probably the most popular pay per view next to WrestleMania, and the
mhm.
huge Royal Rumble match. Predict the women and men's Royal Rumble, and we'll see where it goes from there. So
So I'm going to ask, and again, we don't want to do too much of this because otherwise, what's the point of listening to the Rumble podcast? But so it's not a spoiler, but which surprise entrant? So you're a wrestling fan for a long time, same as me. Which
Mm-hmm.
surprise entrant would you be most excited for? Man or woman, doesn't matter.
Carlito.
Carlito Colon. You want Carlito back?
It's just, I mean, off the top of my head, I didn't think there would be
No, it doesn't matter to
anybody for
me.
that. So
Honestly, it's probably it's feasible.
I mean, like, who are they really gonna ask in this crazy?
That's
And
true.
everything.
That's true.
Is John Cena gonna just say the hello?
Maybe. Who knows?
I would like to see that if that's the case as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see Brock Lesnar come back at the Royal Rumble, personally.
You think any chance for that?
I mean, I will say this: it's probably a better chance of Brock Lesnar than Carlito.
Probably more exciting, anyways.
But yeah, so obviously that was, again, we don't want to do too much of a spoiler. So definitely join us for that podcast, on Sunday, the day of the Royal Rumble, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, the 31st. And Matt, do you have any other stories that you wanted to cover?
I think Netflix announced that right before they announced they're doing a brand new movie every single year. One new
Oh yeah, you
movie
told me
every
about
single
this.
year. I think. Oh, sorry, one new movie every single month,
Yeah,
and I think that is
it's
quite
ambitious.
interesting. Even though low key it seemed like they were doing that anyways, but now I guess they're saying notice. You know,
Yeah, maybe honestly, it's probably exactly right. They probably are like, "Hey, we're making at least one movie a month, so why don't we just tell people that and see if that gets anyone excited?" But
yep,
some of their movies have not been good. Some of them have been very good, but some have not been good.
yeah, it does seem it is quite a perspective.
Like
With
Devil All the
with
Time was good. That's a Netflix movie.
yeah, so it's just I guess whatever flips your boat. To be honest.
True. Melissa likes all the Christmas movies.
Mm.
They didn't make very many new ones this year though, but that's what I watched. So I saw the Christmas Prince, something like that, 1 through 3 this year, because I guess there's 3 of those movies.
I like movies. I watch almost anything that sounds like something not even I would watch.
It doesn't make the 100 classic movies of all time list.
No, I have to say the reverse 100, the 100 movies to avoid.
Get a Razzie. They still
Hmm.
do those?
Yeah, but even the Razzies have self appeal. That just sounds like a waste of time. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think great. Shouldn't really make fun of anyone on set, but
Oh yeah, like I
who
said, I'm
knows?
sure everyone who's worked on it worked very hard. It's just it definitely, it's a type of movie,
Hear that?
a specific type of movie. But yeah, like I said, I know you've got a productive pod to get ready for. Um, but we definitely wanted to talk about the inauguration. One thing we forgot, I did want to mention,
Hmm?
was I want to say Amanda Gorman is the last name,
Yeah,
but she was the youth poet laureate who performed. I know I
yeah.
said that.
She's bringing back spoken word.
Yeah, no, but I kind of misspoke when I said that A Rod was the highlight. I mean, yeah, I did get a real kick out of A Rod, but I mean, obviously, the highlight was the poem. I think everyone pretty much universally agrees that. I mean, they just nailed it. Lin
Yeah,
Manuel Miranda, who was apparently the inspiration for that particular poet, he reached out. I guess he also performed last night, but he reached out, and so started a dialogue with her, which I think is really cool. I can't imagine what it'd be like to have one of your heroes. Is LMM on your wall there?
on the other over there.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
Hmm.
it'd be very cool to have one of your heroes reach out to you and tell you
Yeah,
that you absolutely killed it in front of the President of the United States.
man. Can we start? Serious question, Ryan.
Sure.
Can we start loving America again?
Well, I don't know anyone who
Seems like a lot.
stopped.
Oh, I can tell you who stopped.
I
Just
mean,
look at Twitter.
well, yeah, but
We
as
need to talk.
we love Twitter, and you and I love Twitter. It's why we do this. But as I tell you, I think bi weekly now, Twitter isn't real life.
Mhm.
Twitter's a fun side thing that we get to experience, and then we get to put it away on our phone if we choose to, and then experience the real life. And I think everybody who lives here, obviously, results may vary, but everyone who lives here does have at least a general sense uh, of love for their country.
Uh,
And I think that poem actually really perfectly encapsulates that. I mean, she overcame a stutter, in addition to all of the systemic issues that she may or may not have had to face because of, her gender and her race. But, you know, it was still a song about love. It was a pining for love. It was a love, love of country that's not always reciprocated, but it's a love that's predicated on a more perfect union. So we kind of gave ourselves a clause there. We wrote it into our constitution that we're never going to be perfect. It's unattainable, and we're always going to screw up. But we can always fix our screw ups. We can always be more perfect, even if perfect's not attainable. So I think that's what the poem was about. I think that's what the next 4 years in particular are going to be about. But again, it's been a day. So hopefully we have a lot more tweet caps in between today and 4 years from today, and we can say, yeah, we were right. It was about more perfect, whatever that ends up looking like. But for now, we just sit back and enjoy the fact that um, President Trump is not the number 1 through 7 trending like he usually is when we try to prepare for these shows. I mean, it's so difficult. It used to be so difficult. Now we have the other problem. Now today on the news, freaking Pete Buttigieg at his Senate hearing. I watched a bit of that, and I mean that was very, 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 very boring. And you know me. I mean, I watch this stuff all the time. I mean, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to this. I let it occupy a lot of my headspace, and even I was like, I don't need to hear this. This doesn't mean anything. I just need to know what the result is. If they say yes or if they say no, and then that's really it. So it's kind of weird to go from a second impeachment and high crimes and treason to Secretary of Transportation committee hearings, but it's a good weird. It's a weird that we'll figure out how to make up the time going forward. We definitely don't need Donald Trump to keep the content going. I think we're both pretty good at this. We can figure out some more content without him. But
I
anyway,
think so too. We don't have to be like late night TV and worry now.
oh well, again, we got to give them a chance. We have to see what they do. They've only had one episode without him, so we'll see how they do.
Sure.
I think some of them will do better than others. Some will definitely do
And one
better
of
than
them
others.
borrowed each two. You saw two. I sent you a clip of Kimmel and John Oliver borrowing each other. Where are they gonna go this?
John Oliver's always been pretty good. I think he'll be fine. Kimmel,
But the others,
Kimmel will be fine. Colbert might be in trouble, and I like Stephen Colbert, but I mean his whole show was predicated on how bad the president was. So
make fun of how good the president's doing. I don't know.
or maybe Biden will do bad too. That's theoretically an option. I'm hopeful it's not that, but it's theoretically an option. But anyway,
Until next time.
Until next time, exactly. But as always, I'm Ryan. That's
I'm
Matt. And like we alluded to earlier, if you like what you hear, please give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. And remember, you can download us on Spotify, Apple, Audible, Amazon, Transistor, pretty much any Stitcher, pretty much anywhere that you get your podcasts, you can download us. And we absolutely appreciate each and every download. Share us, interact with us on Twitter at TweetCap. We're active there now. We do our best to create content, retweets, likes, obviously, but also original stuff when we can. So interact with us. Give us stories. Give us ideas. Tell us hi. Tell us what you don't like. We love to hear it all. We love productive conversations. It's a team motto, if you will, in addition to being a highly sought after platform for conversation. So definitely engage with us, talk with us. And with that, we'll see you next time, Matt.
Looking forward to it, Ryan. Don't forget to leave us a review as well.
Yes, please. Leave us a review as well.